Okay, so this is just going to be a quick introduction to the concept of masking. Now, masking is a great non-destructive editing tool in Photoshop, and there's three ways that we primarily mask. One is a layer mask, one is a vector mask, and one is a clipping mask, and I will just illustrate those quickly here. So I have this layer here. I'm just going to duplicate it and hide it, and I am going to add a layer mask. Now, down in your layers palette, there's this little rectangle with a circle on it, and you can see I've added this mask, this white box next to the layer. Now, the way that this works is anything that is in white is revealed and anything that is black is hidden from visibility, and that is the basic concept of a layer mask. Okay, so I'm going to paint with black on it with my brush tool, and my foreground color is black. I am just going to quickly paint a black dot, and you can see I've added that black dot here, and so all that's done is hidden from visibility that portion of that layer. Okay, and again, I can do this different parts on this, and again, just to give you an idea, if I change this background to a different color, you can see that I'm not actually painting that color. I'm just affecting the visibility of this layer, and that is basically the key to layer masks. Black hides it, white reveals it. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this again, and I'm going to show you a vector mask. Now you can create a path. I'm going to use my pen tool and just create a path, and just to kind of illustrate this tool. And simple as that. I have a work path. I can just use it as is, as a work path, or I can double click this and save it. But with a path selected, I'm going to go back to that layer, and then in the layer menu at the top here, go to Layer, Vector Mask, Current Path, and that will mask it into that vector object instead of using the layer mask. And the beauty of that is, because it's vector, it will retain full quality when sizing it up. Okay, but again, it's retaining it within this vector shape, and I'm just going to hold Command and click on it so you can see where that path selection is basically creating the mask. Okay, and with any mask, and I'll show you, if you unlink it, you can move it around. You could either move the object by clicking on that and move that around. Sorry, I'll do this with the layer mask, but if I move this layer mask around, you can see it's moving the mask and not the object. I'll link that back up, and I'll show you the last masking concept, which is a clipping mask, but I often refer to this as embedding a layer. Okay, so now a clipping mask is, what that does is it masks any image or layer into whatever layer you're clipping it into. So I'm going to create a new layer above this monogram, and I am going to just create a marquee fill, and I'm just kind of making it so you can see it's going to affect a portion of this image, and I'll just choose a new color, and I'm going to fill this marquee selection with that by holding Option Delete fills it with the foreground color, Command Delete fills it with the background color. Okay, so I have this different color, and to create a clipping mask, you can either hold down Option and watch this little icon here, my cursor changes into this little white box with a black arrow next to it, and then if I click while that icon is showing up, it will embed that layer or make a clipping mask of it into that shape. And the quick key is to do that is Command Option G. So again, if I have this, and I'm gonna actually change the color of this. I'll just use saturation just to show a different color, and I'm gonna pull the opacity back a little bit just so you can still see the type. But then if I hold Command Option G, it does the same thing and embeds it, or makes a clipping mask of it. And so those are your three basic masking concepts. Now, again, anything that I have clipped, it can be an adjustment layer that I have a clipping mask in here so that it only affects the, the layer that it's clipped into, okay? So I'll just show that real quickly before I end this tutorial. But let's say I have a curves, or any of these work. I'll just do hue saturation because that's easy. And I'm going to do a colorized one, and you could see, let's say turn it green or whatever, but it's only affecting this type because it is a clipping mask layer basically. And if I release that clipping mask, then it affects everything. But if I make that clipping mask again, it's only affecting the layer that it is masked into. And those are your three basic masking concepts.